Right Network. Mobilizing, countering the left, energizing the right. New Right Network, home of the New Right movement.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to New Right Network tonight. Your host, brianSmyth, and
Harry Smith,
giving you all the breaking news of the day, exposing the fake news and giving you the facts so you know what you're talking about when you go to work the next day, folks. This is where you get it, right here, New Right Network tonight.
That's right.
Oh, with that being said, what a heck of a weekend. There was a lot going on. CPAC wrapped up. A lot of Russian collusion and rumors running around. We're going to talk about that, expose what's really going on. We got the election 2020, and Democrats are running into a wall. They got a lot of problems. So we're going to have the Democrats on display this weekend. A lot of videos that came out, like Elizabeth Warren actually apologizing for something.
Oh, gosh.
You're going to be shocked.
Well, it's amazing that she's even apologizing at all. It just kind of shows you that she is not ready for prime time.
Exactly. Ian Omar, a lot more anti-Semitic tweets coming out. Ocasio-Cortez, a lot of information coming out with her this weekend. I know she's not running for office, but Ocasio-Cortez being completely exposed and the Democrats covering it up, attempting to cover it up.
They're grooming her for office for the presidency, for sure, when she's old enough. But in the meantime, it seems like the Democrats are kind of like playing off of her lead.
Right.
Which is why we need to watch out for what she's saying with regards to the presidential race.
And then trending yesterday, trending, hashtag Ocasio-Cortez children's books.
Okay.
The conservative memesters had a blast with this yesterday. It was so funny. At Jev with 7 sevens behind her name.
I was going to say, that's such a long list of sevens. Did you actually count this? So it's 7 sevens. Okay.
7 sevens behind
That's easy to remember.
JEV.
Okay.
Hashtag Ocasio-Cortez children's books is a hashtag that will provide comic relief from threats of the boss and her amazing Green New Deal. 1, go dog go. You'll be served for dinner for someone. 2, 3 little socialist pigs. 3, Pippi no stockings.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was it. It was a whole bunch of people just tweeting out, just going crazy with it. I had a little fun with it as well. But that's what you get with social media, folks.
Trolling Dems.
And then we got the economy. Folks, this economy is rip-roaring. It's the hottest thing in the world right now. People are coming back. Chrysler's coming back. It's going back to Michigan.
I was going to say that I know that has to cringe inside for you because Brian does not like Chrysler too much. And here he is praising it.
Tens of millions of dollars coming back into America, going to Detroit City, Chrysler.
Wow. Okay.
I mean, it's better than Chevy taking Buick to China.
We have the American motor stuff going finally. We're getting it back.
Trying to get it back. There's going to be a lot of weed eating in Detroit City because Mother Earth has taken back her rightful material.
You need chainsaws for that, people.
Yes, buddy. So we'll get into all that stuff.
Do you have pictures? It looks like a dystopia, if you will.
Absolutely. It's not hard to see. Quick Google will show you Detroit falling apart, trees growing up through the floor,
Sure.
trees growing up through the concrete.
And that's what happens when society disappears.
Right. Vines taking over. We will also have to mention a little bit about global climate change Yeah.
You mean the hoax, right?
The hoax.
Okay.
Well,
okay.
they have a solution.
The whole world will look like Detroit.
Yes.
And we will be saved from global warming.
Pretty much. So real quick, folks, about the CPAC that went down Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and at the Bradford Files. These are the folks that you need to follow. Whoever we quote and we tell you to follow them on Twitter, absolutely do. Great information tweeted out by these individuals. And at the Bradford File, President Trump delivered a 2-hour tour de force.
Yes.
Today, to close out CPAC, the opposition loathes his delivery, his message, and this undeniable truth. Trump is the most authentic man in D.C. He takes pleasure exposing their jaw-dropping hypocrisy. It's beautiful to witness. So CPAC, we've got mixed emotions, and Kerry's emotions aren't mixed anymore.
Well, any place that Trump goes is all obviously going to be something we're going to cover, and we're going to listen to what he says, and it doesn't matter the venue. It's Trump talking, and we're going to cover that.
Donald Trump spoke for 2 hours and 2 minutes straight, off the cuff most of the time, off teleprompter most of the time, just blasting left and right, the media, the fake news, Russian collusion, everything. And people were just on their feet roaring. He had the entire audience captivated for 2 hours and 2 minutes.
That is a long time, because I'm thinking, like, imagine yourself, microphone, stage, and a large audience. 1 hour is usually what you get for like a comedian.
Right.
2 hours is full feature length comedy show on HBO.
Like Eddie Murphy's stand up.
And I almost feel like looking up how long those movies were. Delirious and Raw. And it's interesting because, I mean, can you imagine sitting up there for 2 hours talking just you and a microphone and a huge crowd? It's amazing.
1 hour and 44 minutes.
That sounds about right. I knew it was longer than an hour. It's a full movie. And there's actually a skit in the beginning.
Okay,
and,
that includes the skit. If you just watch the movie itself, it's 1 hour and 33 minutes.
Okay. So 93-minute movie, which is Eddie Murphy standing there on a stage with a huge crowd and a microphone, and that's it. And Donald Trump was able to best that.
Yeah, best that by another half an hour. So
right.
Clips from Donald Trump's speech.
Today, I'm proud to announce that I will be very soon signing an executive order requiring colleges and universities to support free speech if they want federal research dollars. If they want our dollars, and we give it to them by the billions, they've got to allow people like Hayden and many other great young people and old people to speak.
That Donald Trump calling out the universities, demanding, he's executive order demanding free speech on campus.
Well, we'll have to dig into exactly what the details are on the executive order. I find it, the thing about the Constitution, the First Amendment, what it does is it tells Congress what they're not allowed to do to us.
Right.
So an executive order, a little bit of a civics lesson here. So the executive branch enforces law. So you have laws that are written by the legislature. You have the executive branch that's enforcing the law. He's the head of the executive branch. And for those of you that don't remember or don't know, never knew this, executive orders are rules that the president gives the executive branch. And he could make an executive order saying, we are not going to enforce these laws. And if there's laws on the books that could be construed as oppressing someone's freedom of speech, he could write a law, or not a law, an executive order that prevents his executive branch all the way down to the local level from enforcing such laws. Does that exist, though? Is there something in law that prevents us from exercising or being able to exercise our First Amendment? And can he tell his executive branch to not enforce those laws? I don't think that it's going to be enough. We need the legislature to write laws that's going to protect us from the new governments of online platforms such as Twitter. I've said this a million times. Brian probably remembers this because I've repeated it often. I view Twitter, and I would call it the monopoly, right? The social media monopoly. I call it a new alternate universe, a matrix, if you will, kind of like the movie where you dive in and it becomes your alternate universe. I could sit on my couch for 5 hours, and if you just looked at me from the outside, you'd be like, gosh, this guy's just sitting there for 5 hours. But actually, I'm having an entire social experience with all my friends, colleagues. I'm getting streamed things that are happening around the world. Collaborating. I'm actually doing stuff that used to take me having to get out and do stuff. So I am in an alternate universe here. When you have executives and staffers, if you will, on Twitter who are preventing me from having the experience, they're governing my life. They're governing my alternate universe of social media. And I feel like there needs to be some intervention. Will Chamberlain has been advocating for this for months and months now, that government needs to step in to protect us from these alt governments. Yes. Is that a good word? Like it's like an alt government because of this alternate reality of online experience. And so executive order, I just don't think it's going to be enough.
Now, when he says executive order, he's talking about writing an executive order that would hold back federal funding from the universities if they don't adhere.
Okay, I'm totally cool with that. I love that idea. Yeah, so basically what he's doing is he's saying, hey, we're doing this stuff for you, but we're going to stop if you are not letting people exercise their freedom of speech. And it's interesting because the freedom of speech, the First Amendment, only applies to the government. It says Congress shall make no law abridging the freedom of speech. What they're basically saying is the government's not allowed to stop you. However, if some company wants to kick you out because you're wearing a MAGA hat or something like that, that wouldn't be necessarily against the law, but it would be against the spirit of the law, which is, that people should be able to express themselves freely.
The Colin Kaepernick thing, taking a knee.
Yeah.
Well, his job is to play football. Mm-hmm. His job is not to be a political activist on the field.
And he's in the realm of the company we call the NFL.
Right. And if the NFL is okay with him doing that, then that's their prerogative. And they lost millions of viewers and millions of dollars.
But what if they said you cannot do that?
And he still does it? Then he can be fired for that.
And, it wouldn't be against the First Amendment.
No, because you're on the job. See, the kids pay or people pay to go to college. These colleges now take lots of government money. Mm-hmm. So now we have a situation where you're not on the job at a university. You're just going to school.
Right.
And if you're now allowed to freely speak,
you would think it would be against their spirit of freedom of exchange of ideas.
Correct.
I should be able to say, Brian, I disagree with you and here's why. Whatever. And then Brian comes back at me. And this is the kind of stuff that was originally intended for college campi.
Right. No, yeah, absolutely. On a university to be able to exchange ideas.
Right. But it's not, it is kind of a private company. I always feel like universities are like this hybrid. Like, are they really private because they get so much government money dumped into them? You have state universities that are not really 100% private. It's almost like this hybrid. So in a way, even though it's not really law, and when we say law criminally, we mean that you cannot be in any kind of legal jeopardy by exercising your freedom of expression. So if I tell a cop to go blank himself, technically he should not be allowed to arrest you unless there's some sort of a disturbing the peace or something like that. Or so if you tell somebody else, go blank themselves and they call the cops would have to say, well, sir, that is protected speech and we have no laws because we're not allowed to make laws that would arrest him for that. So there's that kind of stuff going on when it comes to the First Amendment. So, it's interesting.
Let me ask you this then. Back in 1869, it was the land grant universities that was in play that said that if you could maintain a university, the government would set it up.
Oh, wow.
So that's how Ohio State came about, 1869. And a lot of universities are founded in 1869.
Are you saying that it's on government property or that it started with? They basically gave them the property possibly.
State property.
Okay. All right. I mean, still,
you're still
supremacy. Supremacy clause. That's another thing. don't ever forget the supremacy clause. So you say, oh, well, that's just a federal law. The First Amendment's just federal. But it's been determined by the Supreme Court with the supremacy clause and all that kind of stuff that a state or local government can't make laws that also or that violate your First Amendment because of the supreme law of the land, which is the Constitution.
Well, not only that, but we've got liberals screaming and yelling separation church and state, church and state.
Yeah, that's almost going down another path. But,
right, but to throw it in their face.
Right.
Okay, if you're going to say separation of church and state, then you're telling me that this university basically adheres to the Constitution.
Right. It's hypocritical to suddenly say that you have no right to freedom of speech. Right. No, 100%. I get you on that.
But I'm really excited about how he brought up the gentleman from Turning Point USA that got socked in the face.
Wow. I'm so glad to see that this kid has a little bit of like societal redemption or social justice.
Right. So he brought him up to speak, and after he spoke, this is what Donald Trump did. He was just so excited that the kid was up.
Stay here for a second. So here's the one thing. I was going to call him, but I don't have to now. I see him here. But here's the one thing. I learned a number of things. First of all, he could take a punch. Muhammad Ali could take a punch. He can take a. Because you weren't going to go down no matter how. That was a hell of a hard punch. He was a strong guy. But you know what? You've got yourself a great lawyer. I know your lawyer. She is a great lawyer. Just tell her to do me a favor. Sue him, but he's probably got nothing. But sue him forever. But sue the college, the university. And maybe sue the state. Ladies and gentlemen, he took a hard punch in the face for all of us. Remember that. He took a punch for all of us. And we can never allow that to happen. And here is, in closing with Hayden, here's the good news. He is going to be a very wealthy young man. That's okay.
He took a punch in the face for all of you. It's great. And, you know, it angers me so much. I can't even tell you what goes through my head when I see these videos of Trump supporters getting bullied on so badly. Like there was bullying in the 80s when we were growing up, and in the 90s a little bit. You could see it start to curb a little bit by the mid to late 90s. But late 70s, all throughout the 80s, and then through part of the early 90s, bullying was a thing. Now, prior to that, I wasn't even born, but I imagine that bullying was just a thing, that it was like a rite of passage.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at some of the old movies, that the one that my wife and my kids love is Grease. Okay. I mean, you had bullies in there, and I'm sure that the movie portrayed, they didn't just throw bullies in there because it wasn't true.
Yeah.
I'm sure they probably threw it in there a little. And then you go back to the movie Back to the Future. And,
oh, yeah.
You know, there's some bullying in there.
Yeah. I mean, it was, well, if you look, the 80s movies are kind of like centralized. The whole plot centers around a guy being bullied on by the bad guy or whatever. Right. But, I mean, the Karate Kid.
You know what happened in the 80s, folks? This is a little side note. What happened in the 80s is that all the kids who were bullied in the 60s and 70s finally had graduated, worked their way up into Hollywood, and started to take over Hollywood.
Okay.
And so they find, I'm going to get vindication.
Oh, because all the movies are like Revenge of the Nerds.
We are going to get our revenge.
It's like that in every 80s movie, isn't it? I mean, I'm even thinking like Better Off Dead with John Cusack. I mean, the skiing movie and the guy that he has to beat is like this alpha male bully guy, you know? So, and he's kind of a beta in that movie.
Yeah.
A big time beta. But anyway, it really angers me because I feel like, man, if I was only there, this would end so badly for that bully.
Oh, I showed it to my wife, Trump talking about the Hayden being bullied, and she saw the video clip, and she could probably
flip, wouldn't she? She would probably choke him.
She looked right at me. She's like, hey, you know what? You ought to have something done like that to you so you can get recognized.
Oh, that's where she went with it.
And I'm like,
I can imagine her standing up big time for the guy, too.
But I'm like, no.
But like, oh my gosh. Like,
and then she said, tour the colleges. And you get out there and start speaking. Get out on the street.
Both Brian and I, look, I'm not going to make believe here, people. Mike Cernovich took one look at me at the American Priority Conference and pointed out how intimidating I look. So Brian and I are not going to be the automatic target for you look like your quintessential typical bully. He was kind of buff. He was like, kind of roid rage.
Yeah.
Look at that one kid at high school who had a cape that was actually a Trump flag, and he had a Make America.
Oh, that dude.
That dude was big. I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. I was a little guy in high school. I actually got some flashbacks watching that, thinking, now as a older, bigger, buffer guy now, I look at that and I'm like, I think of like a whole lifetime of revenge I could get if I was standing there in real life. Like, oh my gosh, all the bullying that I endured could be redeemed right then and there with a good dose of revenge. But these are not beta boys. These are like, I voted for Clinton and I'm going to get revenge for her. Punch him right in the face. And it's just, oh my gosh. But I'm glad to see that Trump singled him out, brought him up on stage.
Right.
Even, it's going to be a wealthy man. I want you to sue him. And he's got nothing. Like, he's going off. And you know what? He's feeling the same thing I am. And I know I speak for a lot of people watching right now that are thinking the same thing. Like, man, if only we could get even for this bullying that the left is doing to the right. And Trump seems to do that for us on a pretty good scale.
And so Trump said, sue the college, sue the university, and sue the state.
Right.
Okay. If he has some knowledge that obviously he's got tons of knowledge that we don't have.
Right.
And I'm only going to assume that he said sue the state because there's some kind of tie there from the university and the state.
Sure. I mean, there has to be some grounds there. Right,
to where his executive order would absolutely hold ground. That they absolutely have to hold.
Okay.
They have to adhere to the Constitution.
It makes sense. Here's the thing. Anytime, my daughter's elementary school, they do Common Core. It's a private school. I said, whoa, it's a private school. It's a Christian school. It's a school full of very well-to-do parents who have a lot of influence, and a lot of them are conservative. What the hell are we doing Common Core for? And he was like, all right. First of all.
Now, how long ago was this?
Several years ago, like maybe 4 years ago, 3 years ago.
Because recently, this past winter, we were interviewing some of the Catholic schools.
Yeah.
And the one principal that I asked said, oh, yeah, we did away with that.
Okay. So maybe there's something that may have changed, because this would have been back when Obama was still president. And I was just, thinking, hey, if I'm paying for a private school, why do I have to put up with this crap?
Right.
Well, he said, listen, we've got to take the Common Core, or else we lose all the funding that enables your tuition to be actually kind of affordable. And if we took away the Common Core, they take away the money, and then your tuition would be so much higher. And I remember thinking to myself, that's so terrible. Is there anything we could do? And turns out they've already been on top of it. They say, listen, we've got an entire staff of teachers who are constantly trying to make sure that there's the right answers to what you're seeing in Common Core. My point being is that the government is able to manipulate my daughter's school by saying, you will do Common Core.
Right.
Because we pay you. All Trump has to do with an executive order is say, you will allow these kids to have freedom of speech, and you will not suppress them, silence them, oppress them, censor them, or else you will lose this money. So there you go.
Right.
I think it'll work.
Be done with it. One other thing that Trump did as well, he took aim at some of the Democrats, the Democrat ideologies, took aim at Ocasio-Cortez.
Wow, things have changed. Things have changed, and I can't wait to hear this.
So here's Trump again. 17 seconds. It's real quick.
So when I'm on the debate stage with one of these maniacs, I mean, trains to Hawaii. How do you get to Europe? We haven't figured that one out yet. We don't use airplanes anymore.
Awesome. Now, that's cool. Here's the thing. He's attacking her policies, which is something that all the people at the top of the MAGA movement, they're all saying, we're all talking amongst each other. I'm just going to let you guys know that we need to be careful how we attack her. We can't just ignore her. So when we do the attacking of her, that it is strictly policy. Try to avoid things like attacking her looks, attacking the dancing or past goofy videos that pop up of her and all that kind of stuff. Her policies are so bad that I don't know what you think of AOC, but I study her tweets. And I'll tell you what, she is as effective as Trump. I don't care what anybody says. Everybody's like, she's so dumb. Do you know why you think she's dumb? Because she's advocating for an ideology that has 1,000 years of demonstrable failure.
Right. Proven track record. Proven track record.
So when you see her advocate for policies that are 180 degrees opposite of what is good, fair, true, you're thinking, this woman's got to be a total idiot. But guys, Karl Marx was also smart, but he wrote the Communist Manifesto.
True. Right.
So you got to understand that don't mistake pushing such a dumb ideology for being dumb. She's actually very smart. So Trump is attacking her policy here of no more planes. It sounds really stupid and goofy, but you also got to realize that there's a lot of brainwashed people out there that are believing this stuff.
Well, and we didn't play it, but Alex Jones last week on Joe Rogan's show, and then Joe Rogan had like this tatted up guy sitting in. So there was 3 of them in there. Dude seems super high, and Joe Rogan makes no bones about it. He loves to smoke weed.
Yeah. Oh,
and there's a specific strain that he smokes that helps him to think outside the box. He gets really into thinking.
Really opens up the pores of his brain.
Right. And the guy was arguing, not Joe Rogan, but his sidekick was arguing with Alex Jones, the flat earther.
Is Alex Jones a flat earther?
No, he said, I will buy you a ship, a giant starship.
Okay.
And I'll send you out into outer space so you can see it for yourself.
So Alex Jones is a believer of a round earth.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So the other guy thought that it's flat?
No, he's a flat earther. Yeah.
I don't blame Alex for losing his mind on that.
He blew up on it. But anyway, so
I would have blown up on him. Right. Oh my gosh, what an idiot.
So AOC, this kind of ties in with AOC right now. At EchoSense Now. AOC Green New Deal calls for removing greenhouse gases from the atmosphere. Technically, scientifically, this would mean removing all H2O vapor and all CO2, which would mean the eradication of life on Earth. Thoughts on that? I mean, he kind of threw that out there.
Okay, the reason he said water vapor, I am like one notch below full-blown climate scientist when it comes to global warming, which is why I know for a fact that it's a hoax. But water vapor is a massive greenhouse gas. It traps heat in the atmosphere much more effectively than CO2. The reason it's ignored is because it just pretty much hovers around the same amount. So they don't really take it into consideration, which is also probably convenient for them since it can cause fluctuations that would make it impossible to compare different CO2 level with regards to how much heat there is in the atmosphere, all that kind of stuff. So what he's saying is that if you're going to get rid of greenhouse gases, then you obviously have to get rid of all the water vapor, which obviously is impossible. But no, he's right about that.
It's a greenhouse gas. He said get rid of it.
Yeah.
Okay, and then John Favreau. This John Favreau is he's don't follow him.
Don't follow him.
No.
We don't advocate for blocking.
No.
Okay.
Put people on mute. You don't need to block anybody. You just put them on mute, and then you never hear from them.
If somebody's truly annoying you, mute them. Blocking them sends them a message. They won't get it until they try to click on you, and then they're like, "Oh, what is going on here?" So anyway, go ahead.
So John Favreau, Trump saying that the Green New Deal will eliminate all cow farts, planes, cars, and buildings. They will always tell the craziest lies.
Well, the thing about the planes, and I get what their argument is. Their argument is that we're going to make train travel so awesome and so cheap and so economical. It's going to be so good. Everybody wants to do it that the planes just won't even be able to compete. And so we're going to replace air travel.
They say in their deal, it says that even though we can't eliminate all cow farts, we must make an attempt to do so.
They're going to force us to not eat beef.
Right. And they're also attempting to eliminate plane travel, and they want to enforce a nationwide renovation of every single new building. Now, here's the thing.
Broken windows theory.
Right. Well, here's the thing. This is a gaslit tweet on purpose calling Republicans the craziest liars. They come up with the biggest, craziest lies, Carrie.
Yeah.
When in reality, everything we're telling you is fact.
Right. We just have to be careful how to attack it. Obviously, we can make fun of the fact that they think there's going to be no air travel anymore. Somebody said, it might have been Rush Limbaugh, pointed out that these deals, these new deals and these different ideas that the Democrats come up with never take into consideration the fact that the free market adjusts to these changes that come at them in the form of government, let's say. So the government starts subsidizing rail travel, and it causes a change in the airline's ability to sell tickets and whatnot. They will make the changes that will keep their industry alive. Right. And the people like AOC who are coming up with these crazy ideas, these socialist ideas, don't ever take that into consideration. So as things go on and they advocate and pay for more rail travel, it's going to be met with competition from air that is just not going to be beat. It's just not going to be beat.
It's unbelievable how that they just cannot grasp onto the notion. With supply and demand, when we start demanding better products, and it's not that hard. Just look back to cars being built in the early 80s. Look at the Mustang that was built in the 60s. The Mach 1 fastback with the 302 or whatever engine you got to throw a 427 in it, whatever. I mean, just a muscle powerhouse cars. And then you look back, 1983.
The 1983 Mustang.
You got a tender little four-cylinder.
Oh, it's so bad.
Convertible.
It's basically a gremlin.
Only girls would drive it. And I'm not trying to be sexist here. It was a girl car.
So you're saying that the muscular alpha male would look at that and say, I think I'll pass.
Okay, fast forward. See, I sold that last house a year ago.
Okay.
And my real estate agent, she was driving the brand new Mustang.
The brand new one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Deep-throated.
I think I remember seeing that. Yeah. Oh, that thing looked like, that was an awesome looking car.
Right. And I looked at her when she pulled up. I said, whoa. That's what you drive? She's like, my husband made me get it because
she didn't like it.
No, she hated the car.
Oh, man. I did not see that coming.
I didn't see. Well, I was shocked. I was waiting for her to say that she was a car girl.
That's right. That's what I love it.
No.
If you ever want to drag race, just let me know.
And he's a big dude. Used to be undercover cop. I mean, he's real big, muscle bound dude. Pretty tall, 6 foot something. And
he makes her drive the muscle car
because he has the cop car.
Okay.
So there are other cars, this car, and he's like, this is what I want. So they traded in her car to get that.
Okay.
And so be it. But the whole point is,
so she doesn't have a convertible Volkswagen, pink with the eyelashes. Have you seen the eyelashes? You've seen those, haven't you?
I have. Yes, I have.
Oh, the
children's pastor for our church, big giant beard, got some tattoos.
Yeah.
His daughters put the eyelashes on his car as a joke.
Oh, no.
He left them there.
Because it was his daughters. You can't. When you have daughters, I have a daughter, all of a sudden, like I used to have a goatee. It's gone now because my daughter was like, Daddy, you need to shave that. I was like, why? Because it's out of style. I'm not saying anything about your stuff, but I didn't ever have it like Brian did. It just was the, goatee and whatever. So I was like, all right, it's off. And my wife was like, I guess I'm going to have my daughter just tell you to do everything. Yeah, so
oh man,
she gets me to do stuff.
Well, the beard's in nowadays. The goatee was a big popular thing back a minute ago.
Well, for a while there, it was like if you didn't have facial hair, you just weren't in.
No.
And that's how it was for a while. And then, I don't know, it's something new.
Yeah.
I mean, people complimented on me when I finally shaved it, so I'm good.
So the other thing that got up on stage at CPAC, and Trump retweeted this clip of Mark Levin.
Oh, cool.
We want our president to know that despite what they're trying to do to him day in and day out, despite what they're trying to do to his family day in and day out, and the sacrifices he made to become president, we stand with you. We stand behind you, and we will be with you all the way. 100%.
Now, there's people out there still to this day who are Trump supporters from day one that don't forgive Mark Levin for being a never Trumper. Mark Levin was a never Trumper for a while. But if you're out there saying, Mark Levin, I'm still mad at him for being a never Trumper, you got to forgive him. And also,
I forgave Steven Crowder.
Oh, Steven Crowder was a never Trumper. Yeah, there was a handful of them, and partly the thing about Steven Crowder is that he wants to support his countrymen,
right? Which really upset me more than Mark Levin.
So he supports his countrymen. So he was a Cruz supporter, since they're both from Canada. I have to admit, his bias seems so obvious that it was all about the fact that it was his countrymen.
Right.
So,
right.
But as far as Mark Levin's concerned, full disclosure, everything that I know about philosophy, I learned from Mark Levin. I have a Maritopia. I'm going to dedicate this whole summer to studying and learning his new one, which is Rediscovering Americanism, which is kind of like a hybrid, like a more recent edition of Ameritopia based on what I've heard about the book. So I'll be able to get maybe more detail. And I'm going to tell you right now, if you want to learn about how our country was truly founded, this is stuff that when I was angry. I told Brian this. I was so angry when I first listened to that book. I got the audio version I listened to at work all day because I was so angry that I was like in my late 30s. Learning about the founding of our country for the first time ever. When I was in high school, we took American history. We did not learn about where our founders got these ideas from. And that is so angering. So Mark Levin is responsible for me knowing that. And I highly recommend you read his books, even though never Trump.
Right. So a lot of highlights over CPAC, one last highlight, and then we'll kind of shift to Shifty Shift.
Oh, gosh.
We will also mention one other thing before Shifty Shift. We'll have to get the mixed feelings of CPAC. We'll have to kind of move through it.
I'll just blow through it real quick.
Michelle Malkin give her speech up there, and she's talking, and she's going on and on. She absolutely crushed it.
Okay.
I mean, just ripped the time-space continuum.
Wow.
Sanctuary cities have metastasized, and both parties are to blame. And yes, I'm looking at you, retired Paul Ryan. And yes, I'm looking at you, Mitch McConnell. And yes, I'm looking at you, Bush family. And yes, I'm looking at you, the ghost of John McCain.
Wow.
You heard that correctly. I'm calling you out, Paul Rhino Ryan.
And Michelle Malkin's probably not going to be invited back.
I'm calling you out, Bush family.
That was a great video to play that segues into I'll just do a mini one. CPAC is people are thinking it was changing. I think a couple of days ago, we had an episode where we discussed how we think that it is moving more towards MAGA, more towards Trump support type of person,
right?
Running it. Or, we were thinking these people were Bush rhinos. Now that they like Trump, they're going to be more like the MAGA movement. And they're also getting infiltrated by MAGA movement people. But it's nowhere near enough. You know, you got Laura Loomer who got banned from the press pass thing. I actually
breaking news in case you didn't know.
Yeah, she was banned from she wasn't banned from CPAC. She was banned from she had her press credentials pulled from her. She had press credentials. And the reason that they pulled the press credentials is they called her an activist. And that they said she's absolutely welcome here, anywhere. She could buy tickets to anything she wants. She's not going to be told that she's not allowed in anywhere, except for the press areas that require a press pass. And here's what I don't like about that. Number one, she certainly is press. She's
absolutely.
one of the few citizen journalists out there who are doing raw journalism. There's only a handful of them. And she's one of them. And the other thing is the genesis of this whole thing was that CNN complained that she was bothering them. She was taunting them. She was like saying things to them and just bugging them.
She's bullying Jim Acosta.
Here's what I'm not 100% sure on because I didn't get a text back from her yet. But I want to know if they said anything to her before pulling her press pass, because I truly believe, based on my knowledge of Laura Loomer, that if they just said, "Hey, Laura, I'm sorry to bother you, but CNN is complaining that you're bugging them.
Yeah, they're upset.
Can you do me a huge favor and consider this a warning?" And
I don't want to have to. I don't want to have to do this. I really hate doing this.
You can't bug them. You know, in the press area, you can't harass them, and I actually would support CPAC saying this.
100%.
You can't harass them, you can't bug them, you can't prevent them from doing their job, or just distract them in any way, shape, or form. Just don't talk to them. This is your warning. If I hear it again from anybody, not just CNN, but anybody, I'm going to have to pull your press pass. I really don't want to because we love you to death. We want you to be up in there doing your press stuff. Just don't harass them. They didn't do that as far as I could tell. As far as I could tell, she was surprised to show up on day 2, I think, to find out that her pass was revoked and she wasn't allowed in the press areas. And that's a shame because there's a better way to handle this stuff. You got to talk to people. You got to say, "Hey, listen, I'm not the one that put in the, hey, and by the way, high five for doing that, you know, but I just can't allow it anymore. So please don't do it." They didn't do that.
You need some kind of amicable respect of sorts. CNN's trying to do their job. MSNBC's trying to do their job. There's no reason why the media should be at each other.
There's a time and a place for annoying the hell out of CNN. And you know, like I said, I commend her for attacking fake news for the fake news that they are.
Right.
But do it as a spectacle to us in the right venue. But to use CPAC's press pass as a way to get close enough to harass them, obviously, and I'm not saying that was her intentions, but man, it's got to be tough to ignore.
You're right, to stand right next to Jim Acosta and not say something.
Gosh.
Oh,
right. So that being said, I think that CPAC handled it poorly. Right. I don't think that that's their only thing, and like we said in previous episodes, we've been asked not to volunteer anymore.
Yeah, we're no longer allowed to volunteer.
Yeah, we've been blackballed from volunteering because they found out that we were Trump supporters, and this is 2 years ago.
Or that at least that we do a show.
Yeah, I don't know. I really don't know, because everything that I said publicly during that weekend was about CPAC, and I never mentioned our show by name. We did do an interview with NRA with Grant Stinchfield,
right,
and that is prohibited. But the thing is we did a very professional job. We certainly didn't give a bad name to CPAC in the interview in any way, shape, or form.
Not at all.
So I would think that would be something that even if they were made aware of, that they wouldn't be like, oh my gosh, are you nuts? You know, and so anyway.
Right. Okay, so rounding this out, Shifty Shift, Donald Trump attacks Shifty Shift, and what is going on with Russiagate.
I saw a little Shifty Shift yesterday. No, it's the first time. He went into a meeting, And he said, we're going to look into his finance. I said, where did that come from? He always talked about Russia. Collusion with Russia. The collusion delusion.
So collusion delusion. What is going on with this Russia? I did a quick Google search on Russia, what's going on with it. And you'd be shocked. Here's some of the headlines, folks, of some of the outlets that are talking about this. The Washington Times. Trump decries presidential harassment, decries I am an innocent man, as special counsel Robert Mueller finalizes his report and House Democrats dig into his past. President Trump on Sunday fumed. He's the victim of presidential harassment and that 2 years of probes have only found wrongdoings by others. They also wrote another article, Washington Times, Democrats prepare for end of Mueller probe with new investigations.
Brian's brought this up a million times before. We were one of the first to say it. I think it was Rush Limbaugh that initially pointed out that this entire probe is oppo research for the Democrats.
Right.
They're using the power and the resources, the endless resources of the largest government on earth that civilization has ever seen in order to create the necessary data to put together a proper opposition campaign against him in 2020. There has got to be something illegal about this. And if not, it's a shame there isn't laws that prevent this.
I don't know anybody else that has said this since the Cohen debacle, the whole Cohen lie fest.
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
Yeah.
Adam Schiff and the Democrats, because, Adam Schiff consulted with Michael Cohen before and prepped him before his testimony. We found that out because Jim Jordan asked him and a little bit shocked at that. They're kind of meddling. And we're looking at this. We said, Democrats, why do you have Cohen on stage? This is unbelievable. Well, all the news media outlets over the weekend wrote about how damning his testimony was. Although it's a little hard to believe him sometimes, it's still damning.
Right.
So now I'm looking at Adam's Shifty Shift, and I tweeted this out. Now, hashtag Cohen, lie fest makes sense. It was never about Russia. It was all about making an excuse to get the president's tax returns.
Amen.
This was the corner that they were trying to round out.
At least this was going to be their consolation prize. I'm sure that they were hoping that the special counsel was going to unveil some sort of law breaking on Trump's part. It's actually a testament to his honesty and integrity that such a machine as the special counsel, with the full help of the FBI, who clearly have demonstrated that they are masters of creating law breaking out of nothing.
Right. No, absolutely. 100%.
So it's a testament to Trump's life. Some people say, well, Kerry, you can't call him a Boy Scout because look at what he's done, talking about women.
But nobody's a Boy Scout.
Right. But when it comes to staying on the right side of the law, I don't know. Is there anybody that could have been sent through the ringer that Donald Trump has and come out as squeaky clean? It's amazing. I mean, it is amazing. I don't think any single politician that we've ever had.
No. They're all dirty.
They wouldn't have been able to get the kind of inspection that Donald Trump's life has gotten away this clean. There's just no way.
Right. So CNN Brian Steltzer getting hammered by Mark Dice over the weekend. But he's out there claiming that Trump is slamming. Look, he's slamming Congress, media, colleagues, former cabinet members, Mueller, Comey, Russia probe, and more in 2-hour speech. So Brian Steltzer trying to throw shade for his side, saying that Trump's blasting him. In NBC News, Mueller report and Trump Russia investigation must push Congress to protect the future of special counsels. TheHill.com, Michael Cohen showed us why Robert Mueller is so important. However, if you read in the article, it says, to be sure, Cohen may not be the best witness to lay claim.
Duh! Oh my gosh.
New York Times, the state of Russiagate. How the Steele dossier scenario looks after Michael Cohen's testimony. The 4 possibilities below. Russia hacked DNC emails. Russia project to cultivate Trump. Come on, man. What are you guys doing here? So it just goes on and on, just rehashes the old stuff over again as if it was real. Washington Examiner gets it right. If Robert Mueller's report disappoints, it's because everything on Russia has been a disappointment. Every turn investigation into Russia in the 2016 election has hit a dead end.
Yes.
And likewise, no one should expect a thrill ride when the report comes out.
Right.
We probably won't see the report.
I'm amazed that they're able to keep this charade going for so long. We knew when that first article came out, I think it was November 24th.
Right.
Washington Post came out with the first big Russiagate bombshell. And we had a whole hour on it on our show back when we were radio only. And we dissected that. I'm trying to remember if that was our Russia, or if it was the week before. One of those weeks we exposed that article as showing that this idea that there was any kind of involvement between Russia and Donald Trump winning the election is totally made up out of thin air. And you could tell that it was made up specifically to try to call into doubt the legitimacy of our duly elected president. And I didn't see it coming, but it eventually was used as an excuse for a coup d'etat by our deep state our president, which is just so ill. I don't want to say illegal. I don't know what laws are being broke, but my gosh, some people need to go to prison for this coup d'etat.
Well, absolutely. If you're lying to Congress, you're going to prison. If you're involved in seditious acts against the government officials, if you are attempting to overthrow the rule of law, subverting the rule of law, then yes, you absolutely should pay the price.
And the process of our democratic system. Some people say, "Oh, we're not a democracy, we're a republic." Yeah, but when we go to the polls to elect our representatives, that is a democratic process, and it's being totally undermined by the Democrats. They don't care. They don't care about our Constitution. They spend the last 100 years trying to teach kids through our Department of Education that America is inherently evil. It was founded on evil, and we need to get rid of it. And so don't think for a second that they care anything about a democratic process, and up to and including actually stealing the election with voter fraud. So just always keep that in mind.
Right, absolutely. And just to round out the Russia, because we got to wrap this up with the greatest news you didn't hear at Political Short, Nick Short, Jim Jordan and Mark Meadows, letter to Attorney General Barr requesting information about the actions of two senior members of the special counsel's office, Andrew Weissman and Zabaim Ahmad, and their knowledge of the information in the Steele dossier 2016, part 2 of the tweet. Bruce Orr informed Weissman and Ahmad about the 2016, about his conversations with Steele. Orr continued to give them summaries of his conversations with Glenn Simpson, Fusion GPS, and Steele as well into 2017. Weissman on the special counsel, Ahmad on the special counsel, two more that are completely compromised. And yet we got Jim Jordan and Mark Meadows asking Attorney General Barr to take a look at this real quick. I want you to see something.
You know, Jim Jordan is doing great work. I love that he's just staying on it. Did you see that clip at Deface the Nation with F. Chuck Todd?
Let me ask you this. Do you believe Michael Cohen when he said there was no collusion with Russia?
I believe a few things Michael Cohen said. Like he said in the hearing, my name is Michael Dean Cohen. I believe that. There's probably a few other things that we can prove. He said,
do you believe he's never been to Prague?
He said that, and that's something you can verify. You can look at passports, you can look at travel, so that undermines this whole dossier, which, remember, was the basis for the whole crazy investigation to begin with. So
that's not. I mean, that isn't the facts.
It's a big fact.
It is something that
we've had this debate.
No,
before.
I understand. It's something that you believe, but it has not been proven.
No, it's the lead thing they took to the FISA court to get the warrant to go spy on the Trump campaign. And oh, by the way, it was paid for by the Clinton campaign.
It still never was even proven when you got these papers released to the public. You found out that wasn't the truth.
Yes, it is. And they didn't tell the court that the Clinton campaign paid. Never forget what happened there. The Clinton campaign paid the law firm Perkins Coie, who hired Fusion GPS, who hired a foreigner. And what did that foreigner do? Talk to a couple Russians.
You were left out the Republican.
Put this dossier together that our FBI used to go get the warrant to spy on the Trump campaign.
Wow, he is just lying to Jim Jordan, lying to the public to try to defend the Democrats. That's a really odd thing that he would do. He's just commentator, journalist, whatever you want to call him. And here he is lying to Jim Jordan, Representative Jim Jordan,
Schooling him. Jim Jordan schooled him. He wouldn't stop. He wouldn't stop talking over Jim Jordan either.
And the thing I was thinking, and Jim Jordan, I've never seen him have to do this before because nobody had the balls to look him straight in the eye and bald-faced lie to him. But Jim Jordan's like, no, that's not the case. That's not true. That's not true. And I'm sitting here thinking, I've never seen Jim Jordan have to do this before.
Right.
So it was mind blowing. But the thing I wanted to scream at the TV was, why are you defending the Democrats? What's in it for you? You're just deface the nation's host. That's all you are. Pretty posh gig.
If he wants to keep his job,
yeah, I mean,
he's got to do that
from higher up. They're telling him, hey, you need to defend these Democrats. You need to tell Jim Jordan that he's lying. He didn't say he was lying, but he basically was. He was saying that's not true. That's not true. And Jim Jordan was like, it is true.
And the greatest news that you didn't hear and you're not going to hear, and you're going to hear it here on New Right Network tonight. Kudlow, video of Kudlow. Unbelievable. This is going to blow your mind. The hottest game in town, America.
You know what? Right. Just think of it this way. Money is flowing into the USA like never before. We are the hottest economy in the world. Of the major economies, and I guess I'll throw China into that, of the major G7 economies plus China, we are the hottest economy in the world. Money and capital is flowing into the USA at unprecedented rates. By the way, check out the repatriation numbers, which are coming in way above budget. So what does that tell you? We are the most hospitable, free enterprise economy left. And this thing is playing out. We are not only is 2018 going to be the peak in growth, this growth spurt is going to continue for years to come as long as we hold the line on our policies. And trust me on that, we will hold that line.
And now that we've got such an incredible economist helping out Donald Trump, Kudlow is an absolute hero of mine. We've got Secretary Acosta tweeting out, with a record 7.3 million job openings, there are 1 million more job openings than job seekers in the at POTUS economy. And then Frank Luntz puts up the graph is brutally bipartisan. Debt increases under Republican presidents and Democrat presidents. It increases under Democrat Congresses and Republican Congresses. In war and in peace. In boom times and in bust. After tax hikes and tax cuts.
So he's basically saying that it doesn't matter that we have Trump. We're still going to have debt increases regardless.
Take a look at the graph. This graph clearly shows the huge spike in debt under Obama compared to everybody.
Right. And we remember this. If you're old enough to remember this stuff, you'll know that he was doing these quantitative easing and just printing money like crazy. That is basically sending the bill to our future generations, and the debt goes up to the roof.
Rand Paul?
Oh, yeah.
Real quick. Your take on Rand Paul.
Rand Paul wants to block the national emergency that Donald Trump wants to do, which we talked about earlier in the show. And I'm confused because Rand Paul is one of these guys that seems to always have it right constitutionally. And so it made me have to dig in and do a little research on what the heck, why does he think that this executive order is something that suddenly, and by the way, we have lots of executive orders. Other presidents have done executive orders. All of a sudden, Trump does an executive order to have the military build the wall. And all of a sudden, somebody like Rand Paul, of all people, has to vow to block it. I'm just blown away by this. So we did a little research and come to find out, Donald Trump has the ability to declare national emergencies, to cut back on the kinds of laws and regulations that would prevent him from doing stuff like sending the military down to the border and start construction projects. But it specifically says in the executive order that he is totally allowed to do this. It's totally legal for everything for him to do, which is why we have the lawmakers changing the rules, which is what they do. Right. I just don't know why Rand Paul's doing it.
Okay, it's reminiscent. I'm having flashbacks of Rand Paul in Kentucky.
Yeah, he's the one
Mitch McConnell.
Yeah, he endorsed between Matt Bevin and Mitch McConnell when Matt Bevin, who's currently governor now, but before he was governor, he was running for senator. And Matt Bevin's like this total Tea Party, MAGA, conservative, exactly the kind of person that you would like, exactly the kind of person I thought Rand Paul would like, desperately waiting for him to endorse Matt Bevin over Mitch McConnell. And at the very last second, the 11th hour, Rand Paul endorsed Senator McConnell, which we believe that was the reason why Rand Paul never got traction when he ran for president.
Right. Absolutely. 100%.
Never got traction.
Flip-flopping and flip-flopping. Folks, you're watching New Right Network tonight with your host, Brian Smyth and
Kerry Smith.
Giving you the real news, exposing the fake news, and all the breaking news of the day. Follow us on Twitter at Brian P. Smith and at Smith Radio. Just look down at the bottom of the screen. Follow us on the YouTubes. Follow New Right Network. That is our home. New Right Network tonight. Go to smith.tv. Catch up on all the information that you need to catch up on. And be here every night, Monday through Friday, 5 to 6 p.m. Eastern.
And if you like the kind of stuff that you hear from us, make sure you guys are supporting us through our Patreon links on Smith TV. And we will see you tomorrow.
All right. Have a good night.
You've been listening to New Right Network, mobilizing, countering, energizing. Online at newrightnetwork.com.